Chinese-made self-cleaning cat litter boxes are deadly. Could they be flooding the world market? India is ramping up its military to contain China. And why is the CCP detaining Taiwanese iPhone makers? Then more on this week's China News Headlines. Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell, and this episode is sponsored by Incogni. Now, you probably know that companies are collecting your personal data, but you may not realize just how many. Dozens, maybe hundreds, most of which you've never heard of, and you have no idea what they're doing with it. Incogni helps stop them. I'll explain more at the end. Made in China has a very particular reputation, one for bad safety standards with potentially deadly consequences, and not just for people. That's what YouTuber One Man Five Cats found out.
The thing that I talk about in every review, the most important factor for any self-cleaning automatic litter box is safety. At the end of July, there were a couple of posts in my self-cleaning litter box discussion group which shared a video on TikTok from a lady called Carly J, who described how her automatic litter box killed her cat.
Wow. While everyone in America was focused on Haitian immigrants, the real danger to kitties this whole time was Chinese litter boxes. Carly J appears to have gotten her litter box off Amazon from a brand called Amaze Toy. But as this reviewer discovered, there are tons of nearly identical litter boxes sold on Amazon under a variety of brand names. Because China. And they are definitely not safe. Even worse was the company's reaction to news that its litter box had killed a cat.
Amsoy had given a financial settlement to delete the videos and the Amazon review. As part of the settlement, Amsoy would remove the machine from sale. The thing is, you didn't realise that it's sold under so many different names and different variations of the same design. Removing the Amsoy version, it's going to make a very little difference.
So if you need another reason to be cautious about ordering Chinese knockoffs from Amazon, here it is. As nice as saving $11 sounds, it's not worth it to find out cats really don't have 9 lives. If you're interested in this, I highly recommend you check out the video by One Man Five Cats. I'll put a link below. But this isn't the first time poorly made goods from China have killed pets. There was a toxic pet food scandal in 2007, as well as 2012. Though sometimes the Chinese Communist Party is much more direct about its love of killing people's pets. Like during COVID lockdowns, when health workers were killing pets while their owners were in quarantine. Speaking of things that are dying, China's economy. China has announced even more stimulants for its economy, but left out one teensy tiny key detail. How much? This announcement builds on the wide-ranging stimulus revealed late last month by the Chinese Communist Party Central Bank and another announcement they made earlier this month. But just like those announcements, it's not getting quite the reaction they were hoping for from investors, probably due to a lack of details on how it will actually boost the economy over the long term. It's expected that the CCP will have a meeting and more public announcements on economic measures in the coming weeks, but the data from September, which will be released over the coming week, is expected to show further weakness. Chinese officials are saying they're confident that they'll be able to reach growth targets by the end of the year, probably because Chinese GDP data is man-made and unreliable. China's current plan seems to be more cash handouts for the country's poorest residents, along with measures to support the property market and help local economies with their debts. But one analyst suggests that the focus seems to be on funding the fiscal gap and solving local government debt risks, and that without arrangements targeting demand and investment, it'll be harder to ease deflationary pressure. But I'm sure they'll address that by the end of the year. India is beefing up its military with subs and drones. I wonder why they feel the need to do this. When all your neighbors hate you to the point of investing more in their military, you might be the problem. New Delhi has announced plans to build 2 nuclear-powered submarines and procure 31 MQ-9B long-range drones from the U.S. India needs them to be able to counter China's growing military presence in the Indian Ocean. China could easily counter this by just acting like a decent neighbor, but we know that ain't gonna happen. Case in point, Taiwan says the Chinese Communist Party has detained 4 iPhone maker staff under strange circumstances. Though to be fair, does anyone in China get detained under normal circumstances? The incident happened in Zhengzhou, which is home to a major Foxconn plant that assembles iPhones. The 4 workers were arrested on breach of trust charges because the CCP hates lying and would never, ever, ever lie themselves. But Taiwan isn't really buying this. The island's Mainland Affairs Council said Foxconn had stated the company had suffered no losses and that the four employees had done nothing to harm the company's interests. Not a whole lot of trust being breached there, apparently. It also says the case might be connected to corruption and abuse of power by a small number of Chinese security officials, but didn't give specific details. Which is crazy because Chinese officials hate corruption and abuse of power and would never, ever do it themselves. Obviously, tensions are sky high between China and Taiwan. So much so that back in June, Taiwan warned its citizens to avoid traveling to China unless absolutely necessary. The Mainland Affairs Council announced that the detainment has seriously damaged the confidence of companies and is calling for an investigation and solution to the matter as soon as possible. Hey, I've got a solution for any company suddenly losing confidence in Chinese companies. Stop doing business with them. And after the break, the Philippines arrested a Chinese scamming kingpin. Welcome back. Filipino police have arrested a major scamming kingpin from China. The suspect has been identified as 33-year-old Lin Xuanhan, who was caught in a police raid last Thursday on the island of Luzon. The raid was part of a broader government crackdown on POGOs, Philippine offshore gaming operations, which have been connected to a range of criminal activities, including human trafficking, scam operations, and prostitution. And they're trying to make the charges around this POGO stick. I could have worded that differently. Lin is a man of many nicknames, including Boss Boga, Hao Hao, and Liu Dong. And among those wanted for operating Lucky South 99, a major POGO in Pampangan province. They got shut down in June on suspicion that it was involved in torture, scamming operations, and human trafficking. Man, who could have guessed gambling establishments would see so much criminal activity, besides anyone who's seen literally any Martin Scorsese movie. Lin also established POGO hubs elsewhere in the Philippines, although some of them have been shut down. According to Philippine officials, since 2016, Lin has systematically built a network of scam farms and used legal businesses as fronts to hide his illicit activities. It's believed he's even higher up on the ladder of this criminal enterprise than Alice Guo, the alleged Chinese spy who posed as a mayor of a small town in the Philippines who is now on the run from the law. We've done a few videos on Guo and her connections to the POGOs. The links are below. And the arrest of Lin is yet another piece to the rather insane Alice Guo puzzle. Officials announced they've found a witness who can verify a connection between Lin and Guo, claiming that both were involved in selling pornographic videos at a POGO. The Senate committee in the Philippines will invite Lin Xuanhan to the latest hearing on illegal POGOs in the country, so we'll likely know more soon, especially since invitations to detainees are kind of mandatory. And despite vowing to shift towards green energy and becoming a global leader when it comes to clean power, China continues to build its coal capacity. This is my shocked face. No, really, this shocks me. According to the nonprofit Center for Research on Energy and Clean Air, the CCP is building more coal-fired plants abroad, even though it pledged not to back in 2021. And I totally believed them, because the CCP hates lying and would never, ever lie themselves. Now, it's possible that the failure to outright cancel their overseas coal plant projects was due to mismanagement and bureaucratic issues, which wouldn't be surprising since we're talking about the CCP here, but then again, this is the CCP here, so it's also equally likely that they just went back on their word and don't care about the environment. It's all up in the air. The smoggy air. Is Xi Jinping trying to befriend Washington? Xi claims that rather than being an obstacle to one another, both countries should form a successful partnership and enable each other's development, and that China has always handled China-US relations in accordance with the principles of mutual respect, peaceful coexistence, and win-win cooperation. Is this a joke? This is a joke, right? I don't have time to go into every single way that China has failed to show mutual respect, peaceful coexistence, and win-win cooperation with the US, but it's a lot. So while all those rounds of talks might have gotten his hopes up that he can fool everyone about the nature of the Chinese Communist Party, I doubt many people are going to be buying that. People would be more likely to buy that self-cleaning kitty litter murder box. Now I've got a video I want to show you that you're going to love. First, this episode is sponsored by Incogni. Whenever you do anything online or use apps on your phone, there are tons of companies that collect your personal data. I'm talking name, social security number, home address, employment history, all sorts of things you might not want to be public knowledge. When I signed up for Incogni in 2022, I discovered there were dozens of data brokers that potentially had my private information without my permission. This was terrifying. So what did I do? I've been getting as many of these companies as possible to delete my data from their systems. I did it using Incogni, and you can too. Incogni has already gotten my details removed from 341 of these data brokers who've collected my info. And I didn't have to do anything after signing up. Incogni just handles it. So get Incogni for yourself and reclaim your own data. Go to incogni.com/uncensored and use the code uncensored to get 60% off an annual Incogni plan. Get your personal data off the market with Incogni. And before YouTube's algorithm sends you off to some random video, in my ongoing attempt to hide controversial topics in gaming content, one of the ways Marxists try to destroy a society is by destroying their cultural heroes. The slandering of Columbus is a perfect example, which I talk about in this video on Diablo 4. Click here and let me know what you think. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.